Hey y'all, Hot Rods Woodshed here. Part two of this 300M Chrysler on the wheel hub replacement. I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of what I figured out. Okay. The driver's side was a motherfucker to get off. The passenger side, in contrast, fell off without even touching it with a hammer. But the problem that I had was getting this hub assembly right here, these splines, to slide out and off of that. All the bolts and all that were pretty easy to get off, but getting that hub to slide off of that was a bear. And as I said, the passenger side, it just fell off, but this driver's side was a bitch. So what I wanted to point out something here was a lot of the interviews, people talk about taking a hammer and tapping the end of that to push it out. Now, my advice is this. Be careful about that. They will tell you about put the nut on it and then tap the nut so you don't damage like the threads. However, what I feel is to happen is you will damage the nut and bend it in by beating on it, and then the nut becomes useless. You can't fix it, you can't use it, you can't get it on. If you hammer on this, sure, you will mushroom the shaft out, making the nut not able to go on it. However, there is over half of the threads, let me get a pointer here. Over half of the threads about right here are exposed anyway. You can clearly see the thickness of that nut. So if you mushroom that out a little bit, I'd rather do that than I would to damage than the nut, because if you mushroom that out, you can at least take a grinder, as I've done, and grind that mushroom down on those threads, because those threads on the outside here on the end are useless anyway. They're just hanging out there. So just think about that before you go pounding that out. I started with a 2-pound hammer, and it didn't take me long to figure out I needed to upgrade to an 8-pound sledgehammer to get it off. And be careful when you're driving it out that you don't drive the axle shaft back up in the transmission. So as that comes off, maybe put a spacer between the wheel hub ears here and that, so you can provide a solid base for this hub when it's coming off. Anyway, it was a disaster to get off. But I did after about an hour of perseverance. But as I said, the passenger side just fell off without even using a hammer. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. Other than that, putting it back on is pretty simple. It's really not a hard job. If those splines came out like the passenger side did, it's really a pretty easy job. It's not too bad. So I just wanted to point that out for you. 2003 Chrysler 300M. Oh yeah, by the way, also, I wanted to give you some sort of an idea. I got a Detroit Axle hub, and there's the part number. And I read good reviews on it. I've used Detroit Axle brand a steering rack before, a rebuilt steering rack, and I had good luck out of it. So I know everything's made in China, and you wonder about it. And China can make some good stuff, but still, yeah, this is the part number and the part that I used on mine. Just want to point that out. Anyway, y'all have a good day. Peace out. Work with your hands. Bye-bye.